Hey, what's up guys? This is TechZoomer talking to you here, and today I want to review my M1 Max MacBook Pro 16-inch 1 month later. This is my review after 1 month of use, and I gotta tell you, I'm very happy with this computer. It has been everything I was hoping for and more. It was very expensive, so it better be. But in this video, I will tell you all about it, since the performance to the display performance to the keyboard and problems from the I/O and keyboard and of course trackpad that was solved last year, or the generation before, the 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro, but it has been refined on the M1 Max MacBook Pros or even the M1 Pro MacBook Pros, a new generation from 2021. And so this video will be more of a last roundup of this computer. It will be an overview about my experience, not more as a very specific points and shoot. So if, for example, I will not do any benchmarking or any type of stuff that it's very specific. I will only talk about my experience. The performance was good. How did I thought about the display? Is it worth it to buy in 2021? And as I know that a lot of you want to buy this computer and are looking for buying these new M1 Pros and M1 Max's MacBook Pros, I will also recommend you which ones are the best for you and which ones should you get right from the get-go. The M1 Max is probably overkill for you. It has been overkill for me, but I have this computer for the next couple of years, and so I had to spec it out even more than I wanted, so it could last me a lot of time, because I don't want to buy a computer every 5 to 3 years. So again, this is a little bit of overkill for me, a small creator on YouTube that only deals with 4K or 430 frames per second ProRes from iPhone, and so in my opinion this is overkill for me right now. But I believe that in the future, when I upgrade my cameras, it won't be. So in my opinion, the M1 Max is overkill for almost everyone, and the people that need the M1 Max know it. So again, I still recommend you the M1 Pro. It gets you way better battery life if you are talking about the 16-inch MacBook Pro, of course, and it also has as much as power as the CPU, and it's a little bit less powerful in terms of GPU, but again, you will probably not almost notice it. And the 32GB RAM on this model is also overkill. I've never seen the pop-up saying you don't have enough RAM. And I use it a lot of Final Cut, and I've tried to program and do some Xcode, but in terms of RAM I never had any problems. But again, it starts at 32 gigabytes if you want to go for the M1 Max, so you better get used to the idea to pay a lot of money. This computer cost me around $3,400, and so it was very expensive. But before I go too much in the intro, let's get this review started. The M1 Max and M1 Pro MacBook Pros were a new generation introduced in 2021, more specifically on October. The M1 Max MacBook Pros were insane for their time, because they were released when people were used to crappy MacBook Pros, the not real ones. People used to like MacBook Pros a lot. Professionals and prosumers liked the 2015s so much that they kept them until today's MacBook Pro generation, because the 2016 onwards until 2019 was very unreliable, because the keyboard failed, the display failed, the performance failed, it didn't have enough I/O, and it prioritized a lot of things that pros don't. For example, the thickness of the device and the weight of the device. Also, I feel like this design is way more comfortable than the other one, not sacrificing a lot of thickness. But again, the 2016's MacBook Pro didn't feature that much of I/O. They only had 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports and an headphone jack, and that's it. While these M1 Max MacBook Pros and the M1 Pros MacBook Pros, a new generation that came in 2021, now feature an HDMI port, an SD card slot, 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports or USB 4, and an headphone jack. Not counting that they lost the Ethernet port, and we were expecting Apple to release a cable where at the end, at the power brick, we had the internet. But Apple didn't do that. That's okay, this is a laptop, it uses Wi-Fi anyway. But if you want, you can use a Thunderbolt 3 USB-C adapter and connect to your Ethernet port. But I don't do it a lot, so I don't think you will do it. Also, this MacBook Pro now has the SD card slot, which is very useful for my use case, which is sometimes I'm droning or I have some drone footage that I want to pass out my MacBook. I don't need to bring a dongle to the location where I'm filming, so it's much better now. And of course, the HDMI port is very useful when connecting to projectors, probably on your university, or even somewhere like when you go to a friend's house and they don't have an adapter for your USB-C, then you have to bring one. If you forget one, you're screwed. So the HDMI is very important too, even for people that want to do PowerPoint presentations on their workspace. So it's very interesting. to bring back these ports, and also together with these ports, Apple brought back in 2019 the Magic Keyboard, which replaced the Butterfly keyboard introduced in 2016. This Butterfly keyboard was very unreliable. My last MacBook Pro had a lot of issues with this keyboard because it failed 2 times only. One of the times Apple replaced it, and the other one it still failed. So I was very sad, and Apple replaced my old computer, not the computer itself, it remained the same logic board, but gave me new parts such as battery. Display also failed with the display gate, and it also failed the battery. So they gave me all of these new parts. The only thing that they kept was the logic board with the same components. So again, the 2016s were very unreliable, and this year Apple solved all of those issues. So I want to start my 1 month later experience and review saying that all of those issues in terms of reliability with these computers are gone, so you can expect the maximum performance and confidence when using this computer. So it's now worth a lot of money, but in my opinion it feels like a premium and very, very durable laptop. The build quality is the best on the market. My opinion, no laptop comes near, so a full aluminum body with not even one piece of plastic. Only the keyboard is plastic, so you feel the differences in terms of weight and of course in terms of premium feel. The design on this computer was changed to the better because now it's a little bit more thick, of course, it's a little bit bigger, but it's more comfortable because the other design was round on the top, round on the bottom and sharp edges. Now this is flat on the top, flat on the bottom, and it's round edges, so it's way easier to hold. It doesn't get in your hands, doesn't stick to your hands, doesn't like make a dent on your hand, it doesn't hurt to hold. While this computer is very, very comfortable. It's like the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max and the iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max. The differences between those two are almost like the differences between these and the old MacBook Pros, because this is more like the 2012s, 2011s Retina MacBook Pros than the 2016 generation. Of course, this computer is a little bit heavier, thicker, but in my opinion it's better because it increases the battery size and battery capacity and thermal design. And so I'm very happy that Apple did it. I don't miss the Apple logo, although the glowing one was very, very cool. It wasted energy, so I understand why Apple didn't put it, and they made the lids a little bit thicker right now, but it's probably not thick enough to accumulate a lighting on the Apple logo. But also, I noticed a big jump when coming to the new keyboard. It's very, very comfortable to type on. It's very easy to type on. The keys are very responsive. It's not like the Butterfly keyboard that I had before. So I'm very happy. It's very reliable. The trackpad experience is also amazing. It's way, way better than using the iPad Pro or even using the Magic Mouse. I prefer the trackpad on this MacBook Pro. It's the best trackpad in industry right now. It's just perfect. No one comes near to it, so I'm very happy with the design and build of this computer. It feels very premium. It's very, very smooth to touch. The color space gray is my favorite, and I couldn't be more happy with this design. And of course, the speakers are incredible. The speakers now have 2 or more woofers. So for example, before they had 6, I think now they have 8. They are very incredible. They are very loud. Just take a listen to it. It's very, very bassy. It's just the best laptop speakers I've ever heard. The microphone and camera are also amazing. I have a test here, you can see, and it's very, very good. The microphone quality is just insane. Sometimes I do amazing voiceovers, better than my mic that I'm using right now. So I trust this microphone 100% to do Zoom calls and even some voiceovers to my channel. The camera now is a 1080p camera, and so you will notice in this video that's coming next that it's more crisp. It's more intelligent because now it runs on the neural engine from the Apple Silicon, the M1 Max, and so it has a little bit more like an iPhone feel to it. So it's better, 1080p, better than last year's 720p, so it's better now, and I couldn't be more happy with the hardware that Apple introduced on this computer. This is the camera and microphone from the M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro in good lighting. But this laptop doesn't cost much just because of the premium build. The performance is also incredible. It has an amazing chip. The M1 Max chip is all you could ask for. It scores 12,000 somewhat points on Cinebench, if that means anything to you, but on single core, of course. And this is a very, very powerful CPU. Of course, now you have the Alder Lake from Intel, but that's very hot, runs on 200, 190 watts, while this machine runs on 30 to 40. So it does everything you want to, no problems. Even MQHD, which is a very, very popular tech YouTuber, which films on 8K RAW Red Magic, it edits its videos on the M1 Max, no problem. So again, this computer can deal with everything you throw at it, and now I will try to use my engineering programs with crossover and using 2 layers of traduction, which is crossover to Windows, so it traduces macOS to Windows, and then x86 to ARM. So 2 layers of translation, and that's very impressive that this machine can do that very, very well. I'm running right now SolidWorks, if you want to know. But of course, this computer has its works and tweaks, it is an ARM computer, not every app is updated and out to date, so it will have to have some Rosetta 2 translation, but it works very well, and I've noticed that even using Rosetta, it's more powerful than 2019 MacBook Pro in every task. So if you are coming from those Intel machines, older ones, MacBook Pros, this will be a step up in every single way in terms of performance. Now, let's talk about RAM. This computer has 32 gigabytes of RAM, but for the M1 Pro, you have the choice to go to 16 gigabytes of RAM and pay less, $400 less. But if you choose to go for the M1 Max, you can choose between 32 or 64 gigabytes of RAM. Let's be said that on the M1 Pro, you can also choose 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's a $200 jump. But the M1 Max MacBook Pro is incredible. This one is a 32 GPU core. You have the 24 GPU core, which is a little bit less powerful in terms of GPU power, but I haven't noticed any drop frames or any problems on Final Cut. It just goes through it smoothly. It exports my 10-minute video 4K60, for example, in about 3-4 minutes, which is just insane. My iPad Pro couldn't do that. It edited and exported it on real time, so 10 minutes took 10 minutes. This device is more like a 0.5, so 10 minutes takes around 5 minutes. It's very, very fast. I bought the option with 1 terabyte of storage because I take a lot of footage, and sometimes this A-roll takes up 100 gigs, 200 gigs, and so I need a lot of space. Of course, it was the cheapest model in terms of, okay, how can I go for storage without paying any more than I need? So I chose 1 terabyte. Maybe I will regret it in the next 2-3 years, but then again, next to 2-3 years, I will buy an external SSD, which is probably faster than the one that's in here, which right now it's the fastest SSD on the market. It clocks 5 gigabytes of read and 5 gigabytes of write, so it's even faster than the Mac Pro SSDs. But these SSDs are very, very fast, although they are only 1 terabyte. In the next 2 or 3 years, if I need to, I buy an external SSD, a T7 from Samsung, for example, or T5. So those are very fast, and they are not that much expensive when compared to the SSD costs on the M1 Max MacBook Pros, which are around $200, $400, or $800, or even more, like $2,000 for the 8 terabyte, just ridiculous. While the Samsung T5 on discount costs around $100 and you get 1 more terabyte. So again, if I need more external storage, and if you need more external storage, opt for the 1 terabyte, which is the base computer that I would recommend. 512 is not that much, and then go for an external SSD. Those are very fast. You can put them on your backpack, and with the Thunderbolt 4 ports now, you wouldn't be any trouble passing footage from the SSD or even editing in real time from the SSDs. So this computer, in terms of performance and everything connected with it, RAM, CPU power, which has 10 cores, 8 high-performance cores and 2 high-efficiency cores, and even GPU power, which has 32 GPU cores, in this case, and 32 gigabytes of RAM, it's no problem. Performance has been incredible for me. It's one of the best, not the best computer that I've ever used in my life. Definitely the best and the most powerful. Of course, like I told you in the beginning of this video, this is kind of overkill. So in my opinion, I don't think that you really need an M1 Max MacBook Pro to do your work. 95% of you that are watching this video don't need an M1 Max. You only need an M1 Pro, and if you need the extra RAM and you are worried about the extra RAM, go for the 32 gigabytes of RAM. Then go for the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro. That's the best computer in terms of battery life. And that brings me to the next segment, which is the battery life. The battery life on this computer is one of the best features of it. Because I have Apple Silicon, it's way more efficient now, and it doesn't heat up, doesn't need to turn on the fans, which the fan noise in this computer is just ridiculous. It's like it doesn't have any fans, only if I need to. When I turn on high power mode, only present on the M1 Max 16-inch MacBook Pro, I hear the fans. Everything else, I just don't. Only if I'm like charging and then doing a lot of power intensive things like exporting a video, streaming Netflix or Disney Plus, and then on top of that I'm downloading like a big file. So again, this computer, in terms of noise from the fans, nothing. In terms of the heat, nothing. You can't feel it, and that's why the battery life is so good. It's very, very efficient, and the 2 high efficiency cores help with that. So with this computer, if I just watch videos, stream videos, and light web browsing, I can get 2-3 days out of it. Even a week if we do very, very light web browsing and watching videos. Even a week. Telos of Tech reported that its computer lasted 1 whole week watching Netflix, watching YouTube. It's very efficient when watching YouTube, let me tell you. And Netflix, when streaming video, this computer is just insane. It records at 21 hours of continuing streaming video. While other tasks like Final Cut Pro, it drains the battery faster, like 7 to 8 hours. So again, if you need a lot of battery life, the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 16-inch is the best option. But this computer, the M1 Max, is so much powerful and has so much performance packed in a laptop. And the case that you can have all of that performance while being disconnected from the grid, so you don't need to use your power adapter, you just need to use the battery power, while every other Windows laptop, when you take out the current or the power, it loses a lot of power. So this computer right now, it's insane. It runs on the battery, and the battery is very, very good. You won't have any problem, and it's one of the main features of Apple Silicon. You saw it on the M1, you see it now on the M1 Pro and M1 Max MacBook Pros, and I can tell you that I'm very, very happy with its battery life. One of the more lasting computer that I've ever had. I've never seen a computer last this long, and I take it to university today, tomorrow, and the next day. If I don't edit any videos, like it lasts me the whole day, working, taking notes, SolidWorks, and other programs. So again, the battery life is just insane on these computers. But for last, I save my favorite feature from this computer, which is the display. The display of this computer is, let me tell you, it's just incredible. The Apple XDR display is one of the best, not the best thing that Apple has done in the last couple of years, because the mini LED technology has been so well implemented on this computer that this is the best laptop screen ever until date. Because although it's not 4K, it's 3K. It's Retina. So the other laptops from Windows, they are not Retina, so you can see the pixels. Although they are 4K and stuff, this computer looks more crisp and a lot more resolution because the PPI is higher. But this display is mini LED now, so the blacks look black, and you have XDR or HDR technology implemented. Also, it has ProMotion, so this is a complete display. You have a very high pixel per inch count, you have a very high resolution, 3K, you have a very high contrast ratio, 1,000,000:1 with mini LED, and you have very, very, very crisp colors and very true to natural colors. Of course, the HDR technology doesn't work in every single type of content, but if you are watching HDR content like, I don't know, Infinity War or the Marvel movies on Disney Plus, you can really appreciate the HDR on this computer. Also, if you turn on ProMotion on this display, which comes by default, you will notice an increase of frame rate, which will allow you to get amazing performance on the display. It is very, very smooth, very, very fast, but also can ramp down when you are watching 20 frames per second video. For example, watching a movie which is 24 frames per second, it ramps down to 24 frames per second on the display. If you're watching a 30 frames per second video on YouTube, it will ramp down to 30 frames per second to save on battery life. And so it ramps down and ramps up according to your needs, and this way it can show you the best experience in terms of refresh rate and also save the most amount of battery life, not wasting 1%. And so this display is one of the most amazing things that Apple brought to this computer. On top of the M1 Max chip, the more RAM, the more efficiency, the better design, the ports, and all of that for an extra $100 to $200 on the 16-inch and an extra $300 on the normal 14-inch size. And so Apple did a great job with these computers, and I couldn't be more happy. They finally listened to all of their complaints from their customers, and they delivered what we were asking. And so I'm very happy. I'm happy to report them that this was my best experience with the product ever, like the first best month ever. I'm not considered one bit returning this computer or selling it in the next couple of years, and I'm very happy with my investment. I couldn't be more excited to the future of this computer while I throw other footage. For example, now I'm filming on my iPhone, and this won't make a single dent to this performance. But maybe one day when I get a different camera like a Sony or a Canon, let me know in the comments down below a suggestion if you have one. I'm looking for the M50 or even the Sony a6100. I don't know, maybe, or even the Alpha 2 or 3. Let me know in the comments down below. The Canon R5 is very, very, very expensive. I don't have the money for that if you recommend one of those. But the M1 Max MacBook Pro has been insanely good in the last month and I couldn't be more happy with it. It's the perfect laptop for everyone who wants the most amount of power from a very portable machine. And also the premium feel packed together with amazing display, amazing battery, amazing keyboard, amazing trackpad make this device the best computer right now and in my opinion a perfect laptop. But what is your opinion on this M1 Max MacBook Pro? This was my last review on the next couple of months because probably the next review about this computer will be my 6-month experience, and so this is my last review and complete review. Then I will have comparisons of course, but this is my last review. And leave on the comments down below what are your thoughts on this computer. Did you bought one? Do you have one? Are you waiting for yours to come? Because I bought on the same day that it was launched, a minute after the Apple Store opened, and 5 minutes later they were all stocked out, so you had to wait a couple of months. But if you are waiting for your computer, strength and watch more YouTube videos about it so you get jealous from every other YouTuber. But that was it. This was my review 1 month later, my experience. And also don't forget to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And while you're there, follow my social networks, Twitter and Instagram. This was TechSumer talking to you here. Bye.